wood siding rot. Yep, it's an old house. So, over time, that wood start to get rotted out. We figured, you see the trim around the windows is rotted out. So we're just gonna replace the window with a new window, take off all the wood siding on this one section of the house. Now, of course, this job is one of those times when I explain that there's a lot of times you can have a definitive estimate. You make your estimates and you know exactly how much you're gonna charge. But on a house like this, hey, I know the siding is rotted out. I don't know what the substrate underneath it is gonna be. So I give them a price, but I also let them know that, hey, if I take this off, you might have plywood or something underneath that's rotted out. I don't know. You could have actual studs rotted out underneath for all I know. So this is one of those where you gotta let them know up front. Price may change. But I love these jobs because these are considered more of a specialty job because it's wood siding. I mean, a lot of people do siding, and I've done many different kinds of siding, but wood siding is, it's even hard to find just because it's, people don't do wood siding anymore. I don't even know the age of this house. It's very old house. So, it's already a specialty from the start. And I'll be honest with you, this is the first time I did a wood siding job, but this is where my experience comes into play. I've worked on houses of all ages. I've had to work on different kinds of siding. Like I said, I used to do insulation. I've done doors and windows, all these different things. So I know what to expect. Only thing I haven't done is put up new wood siding, which is kind of like putting up trim on the outside of your house. And, so you're going to nail up wood siding. You got to make sure you use all the right materials. Then once you're finished, you're going to caulk it and prime it and paint it. I definitely have experience doing all that. And that's one thing about these jobs. You don't necessarily always have to have the exact experience of doing the job. Your experience tells you all the steps. Like, I haven't done wood siding, but as I pull it off, then I see how it's attached. And I already understand how this whole thing's supposed to work anyway. So, I can just go with the flow. And it's also, say with trim, I've done a lot of trim work, so I don't have to have the exact experience in putting up wood siding to be able to do this job to perfection. And you're gonna see, because I'm not doing anything unless it's done to perfection. You don't have to wait, and you don't have to have 20 years of on-the-job experience and be worried that you're gonna mess things up. You just need to have some confidence and understand that you know what you're doing. All right, like right here, I did run into an issue. Let's look at it a little closer. All right, so this is the substrate, which is just plywood. And I'm knocking on this side, it's all solid, but I come over to this other side, let's go. Look at that. It's like cotton candy. It's so soft. So that means I'm not the guy that's just gonna cover that back up. We're gonna have to fix that. We're gonna address that. So we're gonna take that off too. But it's also gonna be part of the bill. So, but that's no problem, no big deal. Little piece of plywood. And I don't have to take all the plywood off. I just need to cut it in the areas that need to be fixed. So we're definitely gonna take care of that. So let's go. Talk about product placement. Man, let me tell you something. Makita, if you don't give me a call, goodness, I didn't even realize I had that box. I didn't stage that, all right? That Makita box for that track saw. I love it, but I mean, you couldn't ask for better advertisement than that. Come on, Makita. Get with the finisher, all right? All right, now we're getting these windows out. I already took this, if you didn't notice earlier, it had storm windows on the front, which on the front of the actual house, they still have the storm windows up, which if you don't know, storm windows are like storm doors, and they would put these storm windows over top of the wooden windows because wooden windows used to leak. Leak air a lot. When they started leaking, you just put a storm window on it and try to solve the problem that way. They still sell these, of course. They still sell storm windows because people have old houses, and it's much cheaper to buy a storm window and try to use that than it is to get the windows replaced. So people definitely buy them. These old windows were built frame and all. So you see how that whole frame is all one piece. but it's somebody had to build the whole thing, So, and in this situation, it's better to use a new window, which is of course a window that has the fin attached, versus a replacement window, which you slide into an existing opening when the siding is still in place. But if you're gonna take the siding off, it's always better to have a new window. They look better. They're just better all around, as far as I'm concerned. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna wait till you're the actual human version of Yoda, till you've acquired all the knowledge? I don't have a Yoda voice, y'all. Is that what you're gonna do? You're gonna wait till then to actually start doing something, to trust in yourself, to get out here on your own and start handling business, making some real money? I'm gonna tell you right now. I know a lot of people are gonna ask, how much did this job cost? I'll tell you at the end. I'm not normally a numbers guy where I like to go into that, because that's only a portion of what we're doing out here is talking numbers. But I will go into this job. I'll go into at the end how much this costs. But I'm gonna tell you what, it costs a whole lot more. And on this one, I didn't even trim the inside. Normally, when I do windows, of course you trim out the inside, but you're not. This one would have been a whole specialty job just doing the inside windows. All right, so I'll talk about that at the end. Cutting out that siding, that plywood now, getting that rod and plywood out of here. And there goes the new piece. So, yep. Sometimes, what did Les Brown say? I think he said something about sometimes you gotta jump out the window and learn how to fly on the way down. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that 100%. I don't think that's what he's saying either. I'm saying that he said you're not gonna have all the answers. You're not gonna have everything. You're gonna have enough. I knew when I took this job that, okay, I didn't have everything, but I knew enough. Notice I put that Tyvek paper up. I didn't have the, sometimes, these cameras, man, sometimes they overheat me. I just can't get all the shots. But I got the necessary ones, so that's all that matters. But, yeah, you don't have to have all the experience. You need to have the relevant experience, all right? I started doing backsplashes because I was already doing tile floors. I went to tile workshops. I've been involved in different aspects of tile. So I said, well, it's time for me to start doing some tile walls or some tile backsplash. But I had the relevant experience. It wasn't when I took the job, it wasn't the first time I'd ever done tile in my life. This isn't the first time I put a set of window ever in my life. And then I had to make it work because I had to, even this. The window frame, it's an old house, man. These window frames were not level. I had to level the window frames out and all kind of stuff in order to make this work. But I got enough experience to know this is how real life works. All right, you're not gonna have all the experience and everything. Everything is not gonna be laid out for you in a book where you say I get all the answers from the book. No, the answers come from the people. The answers come from you. You write the books. You know what I mean? Just other people write the books, right? That's what it comes down to. You take your knowledge and then you innovate from there. That's how it works. You're the one that writes the book. That's where the knowledge comes from. The knowledge comes from the people with the experience, but you get the experience by getting out here and doing the work and figuring things out. All right. I made some progress, started putting up the new siding. You see, I got the window in, I got it all wrapped up and, got my little asphalt tape on there. Of course, I would get the side. I was hoping I got the side of the wood that went straight, but of course not. So I'm gonna have to cut every single piece all the way up in order for it to fit properly. And then, like I said, that corner, that'll all be caulked. But yep, it's going along fine. From my experience, then another thing with these older houses, each section of siding, you would think that they're all the same, but of course they're not. The distance, the reveal, the part of the siding that you see. So I got some that are 4.5 inches. I got others that are 4 3/4 and 4 3/16. So you gotta measure and see where they are because I need that siding to be the exact same and meet up in that corner perfectly. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you see the Milwaukee nail gun. I normally have the Bostitch nail gun. The Bostitch had to go. It was time. Their time came to an end. But the issue with the Bostitch, I mean, I got it originally because, hey, I worked at Lowe's. They had an employee discount, and Lowe's sell pass load or Bostitch. That's it. And I didn't want to have an air nailer, so that's what I went with. But the issue is that they use their own nail style. It's like every other nail gun uses a DA style nail, and Bostitch uses an FN style nail. It's just two different angles. So when I needed exterior nails, because I'm not the guy who's gonna put basic, regular nails in exterior walls, so I gotta have the exterior nails. And to get the FN style was ridiculous prices. And of course, the DA style they sell everywhere. So I had to it was time. It was time. So, and guess what? I love it, man. I love this. I love the Milwaukee nailers. I hate to say it, I should have switched a long time ago. Man, this thing it's a thing of beauty. I'm gonna tell you, the one thing I wish I could have shown you is this, doing the trim around the windows with I think I used the 1x4. You had to notch them out, because the way the window edge sticks out, you got to notch them out all the way around so they'll sit flush, or else they'll be sitting on an angle. And I wasn't able to get the videos because of the overheating of the cameras. It was irritating. But I'll get those one of these days. But just remember, I had to notch those out. But otherwise, like I said, man, you don't have to wait to be Yoda. All right, let me nerd out on y'all for a minute. There was a time I used to be in a math and physics program in college. I was, I didn't finish, had some kids and, whatever. But anyway, I was in the first class. I was in Calculus 1, and we had just learned how to do integration. I loved it. Integration was great. But the teacher, she was a beast, man. She gave us this test, and the last question she put, it was actually something that required double integration, which is something we hadn't learned yet. But guess what? I was the only person in the class that got the answer right. And she even asked me, what did you do? Because she didn't believe that I knew what I was doing. She thought maybe I just got lucky. And I was just like, well, when you look at the information, what you had, you didn't have any choice but to do the double integration because how the problem was set up. If I could do that in calculus, and if I didn't have to wait to know all the answers, then we could do this in the handyman business. I slowed this part down because there's no better feeling than making a complex cut and fitting it in place on your first shot and having it fit perfectly. I mean, both sides lined up, flat, perfectly level. Put that in there, and then look at that. Look at that face, man. That's the face of just success. Man, it's a great feeling, man. Perfect. Make a perfect cut on the first try. All right. Back to business. So I'm gonna show you the end result of this job. In all, this job came to around $4,500, and the materials were, I don't know, the wood siding was around $400, believe it or not, for this little bit of siding, and everything else probably totaled around $600. So it was close to $4,000, that we took home off of this. But like I said, this is considered a specialty. They have been waiting about a year and a half or 2 years to get somebody to do this job. So look at that. Perfection at the end. You blended that paint in, you can't even, it's just a thing of beauty. I'm surprised they didn't ask me to do the rest. But hey, Daryl, also known as the finisher. Make sure you subscribe, man. This Handyman 2.0. Hey, we're going to get this going to the next level. I'm going to put a video that I think you're going to love about some trim, unique trim that I was doing inside of a house that I think turned out great. But I'm going to put the link to that video right here. And just remember, stay safe, be blessed, and if the trades don't work, nothing else does.